Greetings, dear viewers, and welcome to the 5th episode of this Starcraft 2 Newbie Guide. In the previous episode, we played a custom match against an AI opponent who was set to the easy difficulty, just so that we could cover a couple of very important topics when it comes to Starcraft 2 gameplay, those topics being waypoints and unit selection. So if you haven't seen that episode, you can click on a link in the video description to get to the full Starcraft 2 Newbie Guide playlist, and click on episode 4, and get a look at what that is all about. And that's something that you really shouldn't, you're probably not going to master. Those two topics are something that you're really not going to master right away. They're just something for you to, they're just something to help you out in your games, and over time, waypoints and unit selection both just become second nature. They become muscle memory to you as you play StarCraft. So those are a couple of things that you can just expect to sort of happen as you improve in other areas in the game, as long as you're making sure to actually practice them. So in this video, we're going to be tackling Stage 3 of training. Now, training Stage 3 is not an easy training stage. It's the third and final stage of training, actually. And in it, we have all multiplayer units unlocked, and we're playing at the actual speed that real multiplayer games are played at, which is the faster speed. The objective here is to unleash all of your forces, including flyers, and units with special abilities. This is actually a fairly tough one if you're new to StarCraft. And it's supposed to be, because it's supposed to get you ready to start playing the next stage, which is versus AI, but we're not going to get into that quite yet. You still won't be facing other players, other human opponents, that is. You'll still be playing against the AI, but this is a different game. Well, it's the same game, obviously. It's StarCraft 2, but this is not training up here. This is something else. In any case, so we're going to be tackling Stage 3 of training today. Let's just get on it. I feel like we've said quite a bit on this. Now, one thing that I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to pull back on the whole hand-holding bit. I'm not going to explain in depth everything that's going on. There are many things that are going to be happening in this game that you're already familiarized with, things like attack moving and building structures and expanding. These things we've already touched upon several times in the previous videos, and there's something you should probably have a firm grasp of what they actually are. So, we're going to be trying mostly to cover just the new things that come up in this mission, as well as some basic strategy. So here we go, Stage 3. This stage will test everything you've learned in Stage 1 and Stage 2. Keep the following in mind as you play. Hold a Xel'Naga tower to see enemy troop movements. Continually create units to reinforce your army. The game speed is set to faster, the default for multiplayer. Replay this stage or go to versus AI to practice more. All multiplayer units are available, including casters and flyers. Try to build your army and defeat your enemy in less than 13 minutes. Alright, so they're sticking with the just shy of 15-minute rule. Of course, again, you can set your own personal goals, like 11 or 12 minutes if you want to do that. Maybe 10 minutes if you wanted to go that far. In any case, this bullet point right here is actually pretty important. Replay this stage or go to versus AI to practice more. That's ideal. If you wanted to practice, if this stage is difficult for you, if you don't beat it the first time, replay it until you beat it, and even after you've beaten it, replay it, I don't know, maybe a couple more times if you want to, so that you can continue to practice this style of play. Or, after you've beaten it once, you can go to versus AI. Alright, here we go. So we're starting out. I'm going to start out by building some drones. The objective is telling me to morph an Overlord, so we got to wait for 100 minerals for that. But in this case, I want to send my Overlord out to scout. I'm going to assume on the map right here that the opponent is going to start in this area, so that's where I'm sending my Overlord. I'm going to get an Overlord morphing here, and another drone. One thing I want to do is I want to get up a quick spawning pool. And as we know, spawning pools are what let us train Zerglings. I'm going to get up a quick spawning pool so we can get some military units on the map fairly quickly to protect us from any kind of early pressure that the AI might be planning, because sometimes they'll do that sort of thing. So as soon as I have 200 minerals available to me, I'm going to drop this spawning pool here, and I'm going to keep morphing in drones. Now, the objectives are telling me to mutate an extractor. That's really not a bad idea at all, so we're going to drop one and get ready to begin harvesting Vespene gas. I'm going to get my Overlord moving out here. Now this is a Xel'Naga watchtower. We're going to move him, not there. Let's get him right here. This is a Xel'Naga watchtower. Once I get some Zerglings, I'll show you what that does. They're actually really very useful. I'm going to put up another Overlord. Let's get this Overlord over here when the Overlord hatches. Set a rally point for our hatchery in that location. And let's get some drones mining gas here. And pump out some more drones just so our economy doesn't fall behind. Zerglings are going to become available to us very shortly here, and so will the Queen. Now that the spawning pool is up, a bunch of objectives come up, like Birth a Queen and Evolve Metabolic Boost, because those now become available. So I'm going to begin birthing a Queen here, and I'm going to put some Zerglings out on the map. We're going to wait until we have 100 gas for this metabolic boost. Once I select this spawning pool, we can see metabolic boost down here, which increases the movement speed of Zerglings. We're going to wait for 100 gas up here, which we are slowly collecting from this extractor. And as soon as that's available, I'm going to hit metabolic boost here. And there we go. So that's going to increase the movement speed of our Zerglings. Now that we have some Zerglings, we're going to send them out with an attack move over to this Xel'Naga watchtower. While they're moving there, you don't want to be sitting idle. We're going to keep spawning more drones to cover our economy. We're going to wait for our Queen to hatch here. There we go. Our Queen has just hatched. Going to put her on Control 6. That's where I like to have my Queens. Where you choose to put your Queens is completely up to you. Whatever you can comfortably reach on the keyboard or whatever feels natural, that's what you want to be doing. Okay, so our Zerglings just reached the Xel'Naga watchtower. Look at how much area we can see with them here. Let's move them away from it. See, everything goes back to the fog of war where we can't see what's going there. But holding the Xel'Naga watchtower lets us keep an eye on this huge portion of the map. And the mini-map is extremely important. Speaking of keeping an eye on the map, it looks like our Overlord has found the enemy's base. And we can see the enemy has banelings and roaches being planned. We can tell by the types of buildings they're making. So we're going to want to train up a lot of military. And we're going to want to pay close attention to what's going on the mini-map. Get some spawn larvae going on that hatchery. Because just by training yourself to periodically look at the mini-map, that's one thing you should probably be practicing in this stage, is just every now and then glance at the mini-map to see if you can see if you can find any... See if you can spot any enemy movement there. So our Zerglings now have their metamorphosis complete. I'm going to put up another extractor and begin morphing a lair so I can get some advanced units coming out. It's probably a good idea to get an Overlord out now, a few Overlords actually. I'm going to move them out into the map just so they can keep an eye on things for me. That's probably a good idea for me to expand at this point, so let's find the most likely place for us to expand. This looks like a good safe spot right next to our base, so we're going to build a hatchery out here so that we can make sure we keep our economy pumping and we have more larvae available to us. We're going to keep spawning larvae on our hatchery. Again, I just glanced over at the minimap to see if the enemy is planning any movements. Doesn't look like we have that problem. I'm going to spawn up some drones here. And we don't have quite enough energy to do another spawn larva on the hatchery just yet. Just gotta wait a few more seconds for that to be the case. Alright, so we have an enemy Zergling over here. The enemy Zergling can't escape our Zerglings though because we've got the metabolic boost upgrade and that Zergling did not. So, one thing I want to do now is I want to scout and see if my opponent has expanded. While I'm scouting, I'm going to scout with just one Zergling here. While I'm scouting, I'm going to also build more units at my base and... Okay, we can't do that because we've already done that. Let's move around. They probably got an expansion right there. Let's see how good our opponent is doing in this regard. Okay, so there's no expansion here. There's a lot of enemy units there. A lot of Zerglings and Banelings. Okay, so let's start getting more gas here. And we need some sort of stronger, beefier unit than Zerglings because our opponent has those. So I'm going to start getting roaches ready. Now, because we don't have any sort of really strong units to protect our base, when the enemy comes in with a strong attack, we're going to want to make sure we have defenses. For Zerg, they have the option to mutate a drone, or morph a drone. We hit B, and then C for spine crawler, into these spine crawlers. These are stationary, for the most part, defensive structures, and we're going to replace them with 2 more drones, the ones that we're losing for these spine crawlers. We're hatching up 2 more. These spine crawlers can sit close to this ramp and begin attacking. Alright, so the enemy is coming in for their attack. We want to avoid these Banelings, though. So we're going to try... Oh, we did not do a good job of avoiding those Banelings at all. So we need to get these roaches pumping out right now. So the enemy is coming in for their first strike. Like I said, this is not an easy training mission. Of course, this is not something that I would easily fall to if I wasn't commentating. But we probably should still be okay. These roaches are going to hatch. There's a Zergling coming out, and now these roaches are ready. And these roaches should be more than enough to handle what's going on here. Because they're very durable units. Now, you may not even have this kind of problem. Because again, you'll probably be going a little bit faster. Alright, let's get all these drones working. Now, my drones are kind of in a mess, right? We don't have any harvesting gas or anything like that. So one thing you can do is you can select them all, and then right-click on an extractor, and then hold Shift, and then click 3 drones. Right-click the next extractor, hold Shift, click 3 drones, and then right-click your minerals. So that gets 3, 3, and then the rest of them on minerals. So we're pretty good there. Time to birth another queen at this hatchery and get some drones morphing for this location. We're probably okay for the most part at this point. Oh, okay, so we got a bunch of drones stopped because I accidentally grouped them as Control 5. Okay, no big deal. Reset the hatchery as Control 5. Let's get some queens. Let's get a queen for that hatchery because we lost that first one. So that was pretty good as far as crisis management is concerned, really. Now I have to speed things up a bit so that I don't end up losing to my opponent here. So now that we've got a lair out, we can bring up a drone, because this lair enables us to build mid-tier units, so we can actually go to Advanced Mutation and get advanced structures here. So I'm going to hit Advanced Mutation, and then select a Spire. I like the Spire because it enables me to build flying units. So we're going to see some mutalisks in this gameplay here. Now, it looks like we should have control of this, but we don't. Oh, because there's a changeling here. Okay, so we take out that changeling, and now we have access to this. And we, again, have full control over the Xel'Naga watchtower. Queen is hatched, another queen is hatched here, so we're going to put them in the correct control groups and begin spawning larvae again. Get some overlords building and then make them get out of the way. Now, mutalisks are not an easy unit to sustain. They are very gas heavy, which means you need multiple geysers, more than just your first base's initial 2, to sustain mutalisks. We've got a nice little defensive force here, but we're probably going to want to supplement that somehow, either by more spine crawlers, or maybe we want more roaches. It's a good idea to keep an eye on your opponent, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab another Zergling and run him into the base over here. We're going to keep training drones in the meantime. We're going to move them over to this base. There we go. We're going to check out what this Zergling sees. So our opponent has expanded over here. Alright, so they've got some Devourers. Or, wait, what are those actually called? They're not called Devourers. Infestors. They've got some Infestors. And those are caster units. And they're very devastating against small, light units. Mutalisks count as that, by the way, so we're going to have to be careful whenever we see that, or whenever we come across those in combat. Probably just going to want to avoid them for the most part. Getting drones harvesting gas over here.
Not enough energy.
Keeping our queens spawning larvae constantly. Going to get some more overlords out, and now it's time to expand again. So let's drop our hatchery off in this location. The reason I say it's time to expand again is because these units, or these mineral patches, are going to be mined out pretty soon. Let's click on our Spire also, and start Flyer Attacks level 1. This is a good upgrade to get because we're planning on getting mutalisks. Alright, here comes another incoming attack. I want to spread out our roaches a little bit here, so that they don't all get caught by the infestor glob here. Forget what that's actually called. I actually don't make too much use of infestors. Alright, so we're able to hold off this attack. We did lose one spine crawler to do it, but I'm going to just build another one up over here. And that should be just fine. Now I'm going to move my roaches out to this direction. I'm also going to spawn another queen at this base because I want to start spreading creep over to this one. But I want this queen to keep spawning larvae. So we've got a lot of minerals, we've got a lot of gas just kind of floating there. I'm going to add this to my Shift 5 control group and set it to a good rally point there. We're going to want to try and protect that as much as we can. We're going to need some more drones cropping up. They sent in a flyer to try and scout. And now it's time to start training up some mutalisks.
We require more minerals.
I control-click the eggs in this little card down here in the middle, and I hit control... you know what? I'm going to hit 0. So you can see it appear in the 0 tab here. This is actually not 0 for me, though. I have it set to 0 or the thumb button on my mouse, one of the 2 thumb buttons on my mouse. I like to control my mutalisks on the thumb button because it just feels more natural. They're very fast. They don't often stick with the main army. Alright, so we've got some mutalisks out. And we want to train up as many more as we can. Going to add those to 3, or add those to the control group here. Looks like the opponent is expanding out in this direction. So, there we go. We might even have some more mutalisks ready here. Let's keep this up. Let's get some more drones out first. Gonna get them moving over here. And I want to take some of these off of the main base. Get them off moving in this direction.
Mineral field depleted.
Okay, so our mineral fields are depleting, but that's okay because we've got 2 expansions running right now, which is just fine. We need more drones right over here because minerals are actually pretty low. Alright, so we've got our mutalisks. We're going to send them over to our opponent's base here just to get a good look at what's going on. Alright, so they've got some aerial defenses there. Those are pretty deadly versus our mutalisks. But I just wanted to see what was going on. Let's see if they've got aerial defenses anywhere else. We're going to train up some more while we're scouting. Let's see if we can hit this queen. Take out the queen there. And take out a whole bunch of these drones. We're going to target this spore crawler in the back here. And target this spore crawler in the back as well. To protect our mutalisks, because those spore crawlers attack aerial targets. Okay, they're bringing in some hydralisks and things. Gonna finish off that queen and keep moving. This is a very agile attack that we're doing right here. Don't fully expect that you'll be able to do this right off the bat. We gotta get out of here because they got a lot of things coming at us right now. They got hydralisks, they got those spore crawlers, so our mutalisks are in a lot of trouble. But we were able to deal some damage to their base. We may actually be able to cripple this base a little bit over here.
We require more minerals.
And we need to get some more mutas out here. We got some right here, actually. I'm gonna keep this group moving. There's actually only like 3 hydralisks in that group, but we need a bigger set of mutalisks before we do anything. So their army composition actually is pretty good. Their army comp is actually pretty good for what's going on over there. So we're gonna need to supplement these with some other types of units. So let's see what we have available to us as far as things that we can make. They have ultralisks, so we're gonna want something that can take down ultras. Speaking of ultralisks, let's get our units over here. Try and get our queen out of the way. That's not working. We're gonna take out the hydralisks first. Hydralisks are very fragile as well. Okay, so we need to birth another queen. It's important not to panic whenever something like this happens. Wow, they were actually able to take out our hatchery here. And this is the kind of thing that you can expect to happen, really. In this case, you need to not panic. You just lost an expansion, no big deal. You grab another drone, and you rebuild it. It's perfectly fine. Don't panic, just do some damage control here. We need some overlords, so we're going to train up some of them. And we're losing Vespine income right there. So it's time to expand again. Let's get these idle drones working. And then we're going to move to another expansion. This is a gold expansion. Let's do this. Now, gold expansions harvest minerals much quicker. Minerals and gas much quicker. They are much more resource rich. We're going to build up some more mutalisks here. And since we're using so many mutalisks, we're going to come back to the Spire and keep upgrading their abilities. We're going to evolve their attacks now. Now, we want to hit this base. We've got a lot of mutalisks built up here. Oh, it looks like the enemy is expanding here as well. Let's stop this expansion. The longer this game goes, the more expansions are going to be required. Looks like they've got a lot of mutalisks as well, but they aren't as upgraded as ours are. And this is basically how you use mutalisks in a Starcraft match. You use them to hold your opponent down.
We require more minerals.
So we're doing a lot of damage to the enemy's army and economy right now. We may actually be able to take out this expansion, actually, with these mutalisks.
We require more minerals.
Notice that as my mutalisks are fighting, I'm constantly pressing 5, selecting larva, and building yet more mutalisks and adding them to this control group. This is actually a group of zerglings that I'm morphing up right now. Alright, we need to hit these spore crawlers here, because they deal a lot of damage to air units. And that happens to be what we're using, our air units. Okay, so we're going to pick off this queen here. More mutalisks. Looks like our mutas ran into another hatchery over here, that's fine. Oh, looks like the enemy's coming in for an attack. They got some banelings rolling in. So actually, while we're doing this whole number, I'm going to pull my mutalisks back and try and keep an eye on where their forces are going. They're coming in for an attack against our expansion here. We don't really want that to happen. Then again, they don't have a whole lot to attack with. Still, it's a good idea to take care of our base. This is why I like mutalisks, because they're very fast. They let you find the weaknesses in your opponent's base. Alright, so we're going to come hit this expansion. Let our mutalisk attack there. And now we need to train up a lot of drones and get these drones moving over to this gold expansion here. I'm going to take up some of these drones, actually, and bring them over here and get them working again. We need a queen for each hatchery while our mutalisks take down this expansion. We need another queen. We'll get this queen to do it. I think this queen is trying to move over there. Oh, they got a lot of zerglings coming in now. Okay. So they're trying to keep us down. They're using their zerglings in the same way that we've been using mutalisks. Go protect her! Okay, so they've taken out this expansion again. Once again, don't panic. Grab another drone, rebuild it. Since this seems to be a hot area, we're actually going to take the rest of these drones and build up some static defenses. We're going to put these spine crawlers that we've been using. We're going to put these spine crawlers that we've been using up there. We're going to add this hatchery now to the control group as well.
Our forces are under attack.
Okay, apparently we've got somebody under attack in the middle of the map here. Not a big deal. We still got that one zergling hanging on to the Zelnaga watchtower. And we're going to take our big old group of mutalisks. We're going to supplement them with yet more mutalisks. And send them back over to this expansion. Our opponent is trying to keep us down, but we gotta respond in kind here. Alright, so we're here. We're here. It's time to take out their units. It's time to hit this spine crawler. Looks like my muters are doing that for me. That's perfectly fine. And I'm also training up a large force of zerglings. Let's get a queen moving out here again so she can begin working on that. Alright, so there's no creep actually to sustain these structures. So Zerg structures will actually take damage if they're not on creep, and this hatchery spreads creep. Without a hatchery there, you can see that these spine crawlers have taken a lot of damage because they didn't have any creep to sustain them. But now that a new hatchery has replaced it, these structures will instead begin to regenerate instead of take damage over time. So Zerg structures rely on creep. They must have it in order to survive. Alright, so we're moving into their main base now. Let's see if they've got any aerial defenses here. They seem to have a queen and a single hydralisk. And it looks like they don't have any kind of defenses here to stop us. So this is probably just game. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these zerglings that we've been training this whole time too. We've got extra zerglings here. I'm going to take these zerglings and we're going to send them to this base, which is just across the way from where our mutalisks are attacking. The zerglings with their speed are going to run there as quickly as they can, do a lot of damage. Going to try and attack on two fronts here, basically. Actually, it looks like the zerglings are going to run up through here, so they're going to hit this base, which means we should get the mutas moving over here. Alright, so I got a pair of queens here trying to defend. Just going to move our mutas in. I'm going to take out these spore crawlers, which hurt air units. And then that ought to do it. So now we've got our zerglings attacking this base over here, keeping that pressured, and the mutalisk finishing this off. And now, player 2, the AI opponent, says GG. It asks if we wish to accept. We'll say yes. We will accept their surrender request, and that will finish up training stage 3. So there was a lot going on there, right? You may want to rewatch this and see everything that was going on, because there was a ton going on. I understand if this seems like it was a whole lot going on, because there is a whole lot going on. Like I said, it's fairly close to an actual Starcraft match, and because I started out playing so slowly, because I was still commentating, doing a lot of explaining, and just playing fairly slowly, it actually turned out to be a pretty good match versus that AI, because the AI was able to get a significant jump on my position, on my economy, on my army early on. And it took me a little while to stabilize from that. The AI was able to push back pretty hard because of that little bit of a bonus that the computer opponent got due to that slow start. Again, that's the kind of thing that wouldn't necessarily happen if you're not having to commentate, if you're focused on the game 100%, if you're really playing. That may not happen to a more experienced player. But again, to newer players, yeah, it may very well be this tough. It may very well be that hectic. So there is that. And I'm not saying an experienced player is going to have... well, it's hard for me to explain here. It's just a fairly tough stage as far as training is concerned. Obviously, really experienced players are just going to steamroll over that because it is training. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is as a new player, your experience is probably going to vary. You don't know what strategy the AI is going to go for. You don't know what race you're going to be up against. And yeah, there's a lot of things for you to practice here. So I anticipate, because I have been seeing in the comments, some players are actually jumping onto Starcraft to play along with this series. If you run into any trouble in this series, leave questions down below. Type them in the comments. I'll read them. I may not necessarily answer them because StarCraft is a topic that can be discussed at length. Really, it can. But I may not answer them necessarily in the comments, but I will take feedback like that into consideration for future videos. And if I need to do another Stage 3 training video with some sort of different pacing, or maybe I'll do a game with post-commentary or something like that, I don't know. If I need to do another Stage 3 game to explain things a little more clearly, leave that in the comments. If not, if you felt like this was fairly well explained, leave that in the comments too. I need the feedback as far as this is concerned, because my goal with this series is to provide new players with the information that they need to get through all of this training versus AI, unranked, ranked, and get up to tournaments or ranked, or any of these three really that you want to play. That is my goal here. So I'm trying to explain these things, and I'm doing them as I play. So I never know if I'm being as effective as I could be, and I'm always looking for ways to improve that. So again, your feedback is appreciated. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this. In the next video, if I don't decide to do another Stage 3 training, maybe with a faster start, so you can see how it goes more smoothly, or I don't know. I really don't know what the next video is going to be. It's going to depend a lot on feedback and how I feel about how this one turned out. And just if I feel if it's I don't know, if I feel like the whole situation is at a point where we can move on, we may very well jump into versus AI next, or we may cover Stage 3 again. There may be another concept video, I don't know. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks a lot for watching. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.